So once again, I'm reading another Supreme Court decision that was handed down today. This one considered a landmark case, and I'll just read what, again, Mark Sherman from the Associated Press has to write about it. Basically, the Supreme Court ruled today, Thursday, that the Washington D.C.'s 32-year-old ban on handguns was, in a sense, unconstitutional. It came to a 5-4 ruling. I am in favor of Americans being able to own handguns. I believe that the only thing that a ban on handguns does is allow criminals to get guns and allow law-abiding citizens to not get them. Because let's face it, those who are going to participate in a life of crime are not going to care what the law is. That's a basic criminal justice fact. They're going to do what they have to do, try to keep themselves under the radar. We learned that in Prohibition. So obviously, that's why I am for the owning of firearms, and I am against a lot of gun control. Justice Scalia wrote the majority, and he basically said that the Constitution does not permit the absolute and blanket prohibition of handguns held and used for self-defense in the home. Justice Breyer wrote a separate dissent in which he said, there is simply no untouchable constitutional right guaranteed by the Second Amendment to keep loaded handguns in the house in crime-ridden urban areas. Again, the language, just as in my last post when I spoke of how Justice Kennedy chose to use the words proportional punishment when striking down the death penalty for child rapists. Again, I have to question the language that these justices are using. In the realm of criminal justice, in the realm of law, words are very important, whether you're writing a case brief, whether you're writing, an appeal or a closing argument to a jury, whatever your, or writ of centuria to go to the Supreme Court, words are extremely important in the legal field. So we have to look very closely at the phrases that these justices choose to use. And I'm just baffled by the fact that he would use the word no guarantee to keep loaded handguns in the house in crime-ridden urban areas. If there was ever an area where I would want law-abiding citizens to have and maintain firearms for the protection of themselves, their family, and their property, it would be crime-ridden urban areas. If you want to make the case that, towns or cities that have very low to no crime rates, and then you might be able to somehow make the case that keeping a gun in the home really doesn't help one become more safe. It simply increases the chances that an accident will happen, such as, the old scare tactic where they say your toddler one day will come in and wake you up while you're sleeping, and you'll grab your gun and shoot them, and those sorts of things. If you want to make that argument, that's okay. But to make the argument that you don't need a gun in a crime-ridden urban area as a law-abiding citizen is baffling to me. I think that the argument is very baffling, and I don't understand it. Poor choice of words, in my opinion. But again, he's a Chief Justice, and I'm just some guy making a video on YouTube, so he's got a lot more experience than I do. Obviously, gun rights supporters such as myself, we're very happy with this decision. We still encourage, or I still encourage, mandatory not only licensing, but I am also for, unlike a lot of gun activists, I am for mandatory gun training, not only on how to properly use the firearm, but the devastation that a firearm can cause, and ways to child-proof your firearm, ways to keep it out of the hands of children, how to educate your children on firearms, things like that, because I do believe that a firearm in the hands of an untrained person is deadly and dangerous. And so I am very much for gun education, for mandatory for anyone who wants to own a firearm. And you know, obviously that's left up to the states. I was in the military, so that's where I got my gun education. I'm not sure, you know, where a civilian would go in my state, or even what the laws are, to be honest with you, about civilians and owning firearms and how much education they have to go through. So that pretty much covers my my little rant for today. I appreciate the comments on my previous post again regarding the child rape death penalty decision that was made. One of the people who wrote on there wrote that I was a bearded goober. I don't think I've been ever called a goober in my life before, so I found that fascinating. But continue to comment, good or bad. I take them both. You know, if you think I'm a complete idiot, let me know. If you agree with me, let me know. If you have questions for me, let me know. I love to hear from you guys, and that's why I do this. Some of you also had asked me what type of camera I'm using. Believe it or not, I'm actually using a digital camera that I bought, just a basic Sanyo 7 megapixel camera, but it has a video option on it as well, and I thought it wasn't too bad. My only complaint is that the audio is in the back of the camera. And I'm of course facing the camera towards me, so I know the audio is a bit muffled and distorted because it's basically bouncing off the wall and then coming back to the camera. If you guys have any suggestions, I'm using Windows Movie Maker, so it's very hard to overlay audio on there and music. You pretty much have to pick one or the other, and those of you that have watched my videos know that I do normally keep some sort of background music on my videos just to help with the flow of the video, especially when I'm doing editing and cuts. The music helps it maintain the appearance of a more seamless video. If you guys have any suggestions on really good open source or free video editing programs that allow the overlay of tracks, or suggestions on how I can utilize Audacity to you know, somehow get that done, I would greatly appreciate it. I wish you guys all the best, and until next time, that's all I got.